In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to work a basic two-color brioche row. It's a two-step process where you work the first time across with the main color and then the second time with the contrast color. And you can see the nice squishy texture of this brioche has a raised set of knit ribs in one color on one side, and since it's a reversible fabric, you can see the opposite color is raised on the other side. So let's show you how to do a basic brioche knit row. We're using the light blue as our main color. On this sample, which is a flat piece of knitting, these two edge stitches, one on each end, act as selvage edges, so they are not part of the brioche pattern. And so we will be just working them with the main color and slipping them with the contrast color, just as regular knit stitches. Since it doesn't have its own little yarn over with it, this is just a knit stitch to keep the edges nice and clean, just for the purposes of this demonstration. All right, so it brings us to our first stitch, which is going to be a slip one yarn over on this row. So to do that on the brioche knit side, we bring our yarn to the front, our working yarn. We slip this next stitch purlwise, like so. And then you can either do this one of two ways. You can bring the yarn over the top of that slipped stitch right now, and then prep for your brioche knit, which looks like knitting two together because you've got the two strands on your needle right here. We're going to put our needle into both of those strands and we're going to work them together as one. It's not a knit two together, it is a brioche knit. So we have got that slipped stitch, that green one, hiding under there, the blue yarn over lying on top of it, and the brioche knit. So I'm going to show it to you again here. As we bring it to the front, we slip this next stitch, our slip one yarn over. And on the brioche knit side, this is really easy because instead of having to create our yarn over right here and then hold it in the back while we set up for our brioche knit stitch, you can just leave it in the front. Put your needle into the brioche knit, both of those strands together, and then when you bring your yarn back around to create that brioche knit, it automatically will create the yarn over for you on that slipped stitch. So we're going to brioche knit those together, which sometimes is referred to as a Burke stitch or bark stitch, depending on who you're talking to. So the brioche knit, and now to continue with our brioche pattern of slipped, knit, or slipped, worked, or however you would like to refer to it, we're going to bring it back to the front, slip our next stitch, our slip one yarn over, Burke the next stitch, created our little yarn over right there, and again to the front, slip, Burke, to the front, slip, and here's our last selvage stitch, which is just going to be worked as a knit stitch in this main color, but you can see it still creates that yarn over on the slipped stitch. So that is the first part of a brioche round or row. And like I said, it is a two-step process, so now that we've worked across in the main color, we're just going to leave it there. We're going to slide our stitches to the other end of the needle. Since we are working flat, we can do this really easily on a small double pointed needle. And now we are going to work across a brioche purl row with the contrast color. The contrast color is just here in front from where it naturally was left, which is exactly where we want it to be. So our selvage stitch is always in the main color, so we're just going to go ahead and slip that and not worry about it. And then pick up our contrast color. And the first stitch that we're going to work on this row is a brioche purl stitch, also referred to as a burp stitch affectionately. So it's going to look like purling two together because we've got the slipped stitch and its yarn over. We purl them together. That's a burp, brioche purl stitch. The next one is a slip one yarn over. So our yarn is already in front, which is right where we want it to be. We slip this stitch. We create the yarn over by laying that yarn over the top, and we bring it back to the front. Just like that. So now we are ready for another brioche purl. Purling those strands together like that. And here we are in the front, ready for another slip. Slip one, yarn over all the way to the front. Brioche purl, slip one, yarn over, back to the front, brioche purl, slip one, yarn over, back to the front, and one more brioche purl stitch. After completing this stitch, I'm just going to leave my yarn here in the front. That's the placement that we're going to want it for the next time we use it, and then slip that last stitch. And voila, that is one brioche row, the two-part working the main color across and then the brioche color, or not the brioche color, the contrast color. And that is how you do a brioche row with the main side facing with the contrast and the main color. When you flip this over, you'll see that the colors are kind of reversed, where now we have our brioche knit columns are in the contrast color and the purl ones are in the main color. You'll still work the two colors in the same order. You will always work the main color first and the contrast color second. I'll show you how that is done here. We're going to go a little bit faster on this second part. So on this side, we're going to purl the edge stitch. And then, like I said, the brioche knits on this side are in the darker color, the contrast color. So we are going to slip one yarn over here. And on this side, our main color is working brioche purl stitches. Brioche purl. Slip one yarn over, brioche purl. I feel weird saying burp on camera, but this would be a burp stitch. A slip, yarn over, burp. Slip one, yarn over, and then a purl stitch just for our edge. Now that the main color is worked, we'll go back and do the contrast color, which is our brioche knit columns on this side. And you can see we left our contrast color in the back, which is perfect because after we slip this selvage stitch, the first thing that needs to be worked is a brioche knit column. So we're going to knit, bring it to the front, slip one yarn over this next stitch, and we do so just by setting up the Burke stitch, and it automatically creates our yarn over. Bring it back to the front, slip one, yarn over, Burke. To the front, slip one, yarn over, Burke. And our last stitch was a brioche knit. We're going to leave it in the back, slip that edge stitch. And there you go. First side, second side, main color and contrast colors for two-color brioche knitting.